What I want to say about Reiki is that, especially if this is new to you, it's traditionally a Japanese word that translates to universal life force energy. And it is the presence of that universal life force energy that I consider love, the frequency of love to reside. And in love's presence, everything is healed. I believe we are multidimensional beings. We're not just a body, right? But while we're here on this planet, we have a mind and a set of emotions. Obviously, there's the spirit. The spirit, I believe, is always whole. And ultimately, modalities like Reiki, meditation, yoga, and otherwise serve to help us to reconnect with that divine blueprint that is the soul, that is the spirit, that is always healed, that is never fragmented, that is always one, and at one with whatever name you give it, God, source, higher power, etc. So Reiki, in turn, creates the correct conditions through allowing us to be conduits and channels for life force energy so that love's presence can do the healing. When we share Reiki, whether you are attuned or not, when we give and receive Reiki, we are allowing ourselves, again, to be conduits for that love and light, for that life force to flow through, but we are not the ones directing the healing. And that's the cool thing. So in a way, someone who's a Reiki healer, sure, they might say, I'm a Reiki healer or a Reiki practitioner, but ultimately they know, especially if they've been well trained, that they're not the ones doing the healing. The divine, the love, the Most High is actually doing the healing. The intelligence of love is what's doing the healing. So later today, when we get the tables out and we start to share the healing, right, myself nor any of you are going to be taking on another one's energy. We'll never be taking on anyone else's energy, right? Especially if you attune and align to simply being a conduit and a channel for life force, and we kind of step the ego out of the way, then that love and that light is allowed to channel through and do the work. And then you might say like, whoa, I saw this light or your aura or some vision, you were in a field, or sometimes we get these downloads, and you'll see as the day goes on, those downloads get longer and more extravagant, which is pretty cool because we all get really relaxed and our energies get connected. And so we might have visions, we might have offerings that we can share with each other after taking turns receiving and giving hands-on healing. But like that, it's the most simplest form of healing that I've ever met. And like Athea was sharing earlier, it's almost a relief after you've learned, and I don't know, Diane, maybe in your years of learning lots of energy healing as well, it's cool because we can go so deep in these realms of energetics and multidimensionality, and I love that stuff too. But also bringing it back to what you said, Will, unless we actually practice it, it's all just knowledge. And it's all just stuff in a book, which is juicy because I write books, so I think they're important, so read them, especially mine. But really, it's the practice, right? So there's students that get attuned with Reiki, but they never use it, and then they bump into a life situation, and I say, have you been doing your Reiki on yourself? Have you been laying your hands on it? Have you been meditating on the symbol? No. I'm like, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. So in turn, all the modalities that we might be guided to through our life are there for a reason. We're guided to be attuned, or we're guided to just come today for a reason, because there's some part of us that is seeking to reunite with the wholeness that is the truth within us. And Reiki is a pathway to allowing that to reside. And all we have to do is be open to receive. And that's the thing about Reiki, is because for some reason it seems we have grown accustomed to giving and not receiving. And receiving is such an important part of allowing the circuit to be complete, right? And even it's as simple as offering someone a gift, and they say thank you, and saying you're welcome. There's a full circuit that happens, and it's like that with Reiki. So we're not just giving out, but when we're attuned with Reiki, especially, we're giving to ourselves first, so that our wellspring of energy is overflowing. With Reiki, we're not extending our personal reserves of energy. In Chinese medicine, your qi, your wellspring of energy, is in your kidneys. And we know when we get stressed out, when we think too much, when we drink too much caffeine or alcohol or whatever, and we're really dragging the body's systems, that we kick on the fight or flight systems. and where it's like go, 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 dun, 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 dun. And whether you have that music playing in your as a backlog in your life, or it's just the way your insides feel, where you're always rushing, or feeling the stress of a lack of time, a lack of money, a lack of love, a lack of anything, right? This is where our Reiki can come in and help to create the correct conditions within us to shift us from the fight or flight system, which we get really used to living in that. Although out here in the desert, it's a little easier to get a little chilled out. But even still, we have life, we have situations, we have loved ones, we have our own health, we have situations that just come up, addictions, we have our own inner battles that we get to deal with that can be stressful. And Reiki is a very simple modality that can really serve to just help shift the chemistry of the body from fight or flight to what they call rest and digest. You cannot be on two tracks at the same time. You're either flowing through life, rest and digest,
where your parasympathetic nervous system is activated,
where you're truly relaxed. When we are in stress mode, we are not relaxed. When we are in rest and digest, the body can relax, which helps to train the mind how to relax. Then when the mind is more relaxed, the emotions can relax. The mind and the emotions are really like cousins. What's going on in one is a reflection of the other, and it always affects the physical. So, that said, Reiki is a beautiful modality because it's simple. You don't think about anything. No thinking, as I had a yoga teacher would say. But teacher, what, she's no thinking? And you'd be like, but she's no thinking. You're like, okay, I just, okay, what? You know. And then, but eventually when you practice that no thinking thing, you're like, oh, I get it. Think, okay. And it becomes, instead of an uncomfortable place, a very comfortable place. And so that's what we're doing today. And especially with the hummingbird just giving us the blessing and knowing this Piscean energy is just going deep into that subconscious realm, because it's time to release, and Reiki is going to give us the gift today to do it gracefully. And if you cry, and if you need to scream, if you need us to burn like extra sage and drum you down, if you're like having like a please, like go for it. This is the safe place. We created the thread through our hearts of love and light, and that's what these things are for. These communities, these circles are so vital, you know, for those that are called to be present, because we need safe places to do this. It's not always in, even in our Course in Miracles group, or in an AA group, or, you know, they're a gift, because those sacred spaces are needed too. Yet there perhaps is a spiritual component where, you know, I'm only allowed to read, to not talk about what's in the book for 5 minutes, and my teacher spanks me and puts me back in line, then you gotta get back into the book, so you can't, there isn't like a full, complete, you know, release. So but it's, yeah, it's real, it's human. We all have this stuff, but we sometimes walk around and pretend like everything's fine. And generally it is. And truly, the truth is that it is. And what we're doing is we're remembering that it is. And we're realigning with all that is, that beautiful perfection. Okay? So, that said, so if we look at this first line, Reiki creates the correct conditions for love to flourish. Where love flourishes, mind, body, and emotions heal. Does that make sense? So like we were talking about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, if we're constantly in stress mode, whatever has a chance to heal, where is there that exhale, that pause, that space, that sacred space? Reiki creates that sacred space where all levels, mind, body, emotions can heal. Does that make sense? Okay. The next paragraph. Attuning to the subtle vibrations of love with Reiki is a means of attuning to the higher self. Some people call the higher self the Holy Spirit, or the messenger between yourself and your source. Does Buddha have a Holy Spirit entity or being? No, okay, just Buddha. It's just like Buddha, okay. So in that way, with your Buddha nature. So attuning to the subtle vibrations of love with Reiki, which is what we're here to do today, is a means of attuning to the higher self. Your higher self holds the blueprint of your spiritual sovereignty and teaches one self-mastery. Okay? So your higher self knows who you are as your beautiful, bright, free, sovereign being. Right? Our earth plane level self sometimes forgets that beautiful perfection. And within that beautiful perfection, right, is the perfection of your health, of your shiny body, energy, of your clarity of your mind. of being able to choose love in your mind as a repetitive action versus choosing fear, which in turn affects the emotional body. If my mind is clear, or at least I'm working on getting it clearer and more in balance, my emotional state is going to be smoother, right? Does that make sense too? And so as all of these aspects of ourselves are allowed a sacred space to connect with through Reiki, for example, for today, we can easier be at one with the divine blueprint of our wellness, mind, body, and emotions. Next paragraph, laying on of hands is the most natural means of applying and sharing healing in our world. So if we just think about that one line, I always use this example. A little kid runs, bumps its knee, cries, "Mommy, kiss it better," and then it could even be just awful, and the mom just has to give it some attention and kiss it, and the kid's like off running again, It's that easy. You get a pain in your tummy or in your back, what's the first thing you do is you go to naturally extend a laying on of hands with yourself, or maybe to someone else, right? Reiki's in a beautiful, nourishing hug. It's the real hug. It's in the real, even a handshake, or not just the wet fish handshake, which I learned that in Ireland. It's a wet fish handshake, but where you really have the circuit, again, the you're welcome and your thank you. It's like the eye to eye, like yes, this like life force exchange energy. Okay, so in this way, the laying on of hands is creating that correct condition, again, for us to be attuned in the vibration of love, and through that vibration of love, come into contact with the oneness of our being, which is the great news, because our oneness is always present. And so what we're doing is we're creating the correct conditions so that we can tune our radio into that and get very clear on that. So laying on of hands is the most natural means of sharing healing. Reiki teaches a student how to navigate their personal healing process and is a highly alchemical means of spiritual transformation. When we lay hands or receive laying on of hands, any resistance, negativities, blocks, again, whether they are physical, emotional, or mental, those aspects within us that are ready to be released and transmuted to love and light are released simply through the laying on of hands, not because I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do something, I'm going to tell that body, I'm going to use my crystal and pull out a chunk of thing from someone's aura. None of that stuff. Although there's teachings in other Reiki fields that do that body energy manipulation stuff, but the bare bone, basic, traditional, simple Usui lineage, which I and anyone who's attuned with me, how many people are attuned with me here? Okay, cool. It's very simple. Right? So we don't do anything, we simply are the channels, the conduits that channel that life force energy, allow it to channel through us, and that life force does the work. And the alchemy is in that release of all that resists being love and light, basically fear. Okay, so the fear that you're ready to release today is already starting to be broken up through the drum, through our sharing, through the chanting, through the oming, through the bowl, through saging, everything. All this is not just to play show and tell and for me to show off and play the bowl. There's intention and there's momentum and what we're building up to, so that after ourselves with our food and we get on the table with ease again, what is ready to be released for our highest good and the highest good of all just simply floats off. And it doesn't have to be an exorcist episode. Once in a huge million blue moons, that happens, but it's always at the right time and space if someone needs to have an experience like that. But it's very rare with Reiki. Very, very rare, those kinds of things. It's more gentle, very gentle. We just need to make sure we keep drinking water through the day because it's so gentle, you might not think something is happening, so we're going to make sure we drink water through the day and get nourished. Finally, each student of Reiki becomes a lightning rod for their own divine healing. Learning to consciously apply self-love through laying on of hands allows the participant to harness and direct energy in the universe. This experience is a valuable means to embodying one's personal power and liberation. So it makes sense, right, that if you continually create the correct conditions for healing to happen and for love to be present over fear, it's a completely different world. Inside, in your own mind, in your own body, and then through the world that surrounds us. That's a good background to understanding Reiki, and now we're going to get into forgiveness.